Hello friends, welcome back to our channel Lit Horizon. Now we can discuss the essay Preface to Shakespeare written by Samuel Johnson. The essay is published in 1765. So let's check the background of the essay. In 1756, Samuel Johnson signed a proposal to write something about Shakespeare within 1 year period. And in 1756, Johnson published his proposal for printing by subscription, and the name of the subscription is The Dramatic Works of William Shakespeare, corrected and illustrated by Johnson. But Johnson couldn't publish the work in a year time, therefore, he came under attacks, especially by poet Charles Churchill. Later, he published the essay in 8 volumes in octavo size in 1765 and 9 years after the publication of Proposal, and it is considered as the best neoclassical literary piece. And this preface exceeds 72 pages. People accepted the preface as the text than the original work. The preface is divided into two parts. The first one is dealing with Johnson's critical analysis of Shakespeare as a dramatist. And the next part deals with the editorial method used by Johnson in his edition of Shakespeare. This essay begins with an assertion. He began the preface by, "People cherish the work of dead and neglect the modern." He states, if the writer is venerated by posterity, this is the proof of his excellence. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ റീഡേഴ്സ് മോഡേൺ റൈറ്റേഴ്സിൻ്റെ വർക്ക്സിനെ നെഗ്ലക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യും, ആൻഷ്യൻ റൈറ്റേഴ്സ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മരിച്ചുപോയ റൈറ്റേഴ്സിൻ്റെ വർക്ക്സിനെ പ്രേസ് ചെയ്യുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നത് അവരുടെ എക്സലൻസിക്ക് ഒരു പ്രൂഫാണ്. ഇവിടെ ദ വേർഡ് വെനറേറ്റഡ് മീൻസ് റെസ്പെക്റ്റഡ് and posterity means new generation. An example for such writers are Homer and Shakespeare. In Johnson's analysis on Shakespeare, he adopted the multi-dimensional approach. He praises Shakespeare and at the same time he pointed out the fault made by Shakespeare. First of all, we can go through what are the praises or the good qualities pointed out by Johnson about Shakespeare. The first point is Shakespeare depicts general human passions and principles common to all human. The next point is in his work each character is important because his scenes are populated by men who act and speak. And the next point is the characters are universally individualized because he portrays all the sections of society. He does not exaggerate the characters and he depicts the common feelings and virtues of human beings. And the next point is he appreciates Shakespeare for not focusing only on the feeling of love but to different passions, emotions. For example, in the work King Lear, we can see the different emotions. And the next point is Johnson refutes the charges against Shakespeare done by others that he portrays noble characters as buffoons and drunkards. But according to Johnson, these are the silly criticism of the silly minds. The next point is Shakespeare writes both tragedy and comedy. No Greek or Roman writers attempted to do both tragedy and comedy. But Shakespeare possesses the genius of both. The next point is language of Shakespeare is comprehensible. Shakespeare's characters differ from one another with their usage of language. For example, the noble characters use verse dialogues and the lower characters speaks a different language. The next point is Shakespeare is a genius in writing comedy because according to Johnson, Shakespeare had difficulties to construct tragic scenes, but he can create comic scenes with spontaneity. His tragedy seems to be a skill and his comedy seems to be an instinct. And he obtained his comic dialogues from common indifference of life. These are the praises of Shakespeare. Next, we can go through the faults of Shakespeare. As a neoclassicist, Johnson is didactic in his approach. So he considers Shakespeare as the playwright who is concerned on pleasing than instructing. He says Shakespeare lacks clear and distinct moral purpose because he only wrote for profit and pleasure. Next point is he says Shakespeare does not make any distinction between good and evil characters. And Johnson called this as barbarizing or savage. And the next point is Shakespeare does not take any labor to end his plays. And also he violates the three unities and he don't had any guilty feeling for that. And Johnson considered Shakespeare's tragedy as meanness, tedious, and obscure. And also, he criticized Shakespeare for narrative verbose, which means lots of words and speech used in his writing. Johnson also criticized that his plays are prolix. Prolix means the usage of lengthy dialogues. And Shakespeare also uses unnecessary repetitions in his work. And he criticized for the usage of pun, conceit, and hyperbole. Johnson also says that the emotions depicted in the works of Shakespeare it cannot be understood by the common people. And he also attacked Shakespeare for quibble, for the usage of analogies, etc. The quibble means it's a sort of pun or verbal trick. So these are some of the faults pointed out by Johnson in the essay The Preface to Shakespeare. Next, we can discuss about Shakespeare's text. Shakespeare uses the popular Romance sources as the building block of his plays. Therefore, the spectators find it difficult to follow. And Johnson believed that Shakespeare don't know French or Latin. Therefore, Johnson believed that Shakespeare used the English translation of foreign works as his source of work. And during Elizabethan time, English literature was in its infancy, so Shakespeare had no English model of drama or poetry to follow. Thus, Johnson considered Shakespeare as a pioneer who introduced character and dialogue into drama. According to Johnson, Shakespeare's natural genius was acquired from his personal observation and experiences of life. Johnson says Shakespeare's works are corrupted because most of his plays were published after 7 years of his death, and he wrote his plays for immediate profit and pleasure, and he never kept any authentic version for its posterity. Due to lack of availability of the original text of Shakespeare, certain writers made many corrections in his drama. Some of the dialogues were added and some of them are deleted. That's why Johnson said the Shakespeare's text are corrupted. So we can check how the text of Shakespeare are corrupted. The first point is Shakespeare wrote for immediate profit. The next point is the printing method used during that period was handwritten. And the next point is the mutilation of speeches by actors who wish to shorten them. The next one is Shakespeare used undramatic writing, therefore editors make it dramatic. Next we can discuss about Johnson's editorial method. Johnson assessed all editions before writing his own edition, so he acknowledged all his predecessors for this in the preface. And he used 3 methods to analyze the Shakespeare's work, that is, illustrative, judicial, and emendatory. Illustrative means he used examples to explain difficulties in Shakespeare's plays. And judicial means he pointed out the fault and praises of Shakespeare to judge him. and emendatory means used to correct the corruptions in the text. These are the three methods used by Johnson to analyze Shakespeare. And according to Johnson, he has been successful in analyzing certain obscure passages and made them more understandable to the readers. And at the same time, he keeps some other passages from Shakespeare for future generation to solve. And Johnson gave an advice to posterity, that is, he advises to enjoy the complete play of Shakespeare because only when the posterity or the readers turn to his original passages and enjoy or appreciate his lines, then only one could find novelty. This is all about the essay, The Preface to Shakespeare. Thank you.